So, I wanted to do a video about toxic people pleasing. Um, I think there's actually a lot of people out there that are that would consider themselves people pleasers. Other people who don't consider themselves people pleasers, but other people would consider them people pleasers. And I just wanted to do something for people who are people pleasers, whether they see it or not, or somebody who knows someone who's a people pleaser, and sees just the toxicity that it creates in their life and the amount of damage it creates in their life. You know, it's really counterintuitive because you'd think being a people pleaser, if you're trying to please everybody, things will work out, but that isn't what happens. I call it toxic because it is at its root toxic for you and the people around you. So one thing that I've experienced in people pleasing is people who are people pleasing don't want to feel they've let somebody down or disappoint somebody. So that is inevitable. It is inevitable that at times you will disappoint other people, you will let people down, things won't go as planned, so on and so forth. And if you're one of those people that is like it just tears you apart when that happens, that may be a good sign that you're a people pleaser. But the problem with it is what happens is since you are inevitably going to let people down here and there, disappoint people, when you're trying to please everybody, you are going to let more people down more often. So for instance, the people closest to you, who are relying on you more, who care about you more, and who you care about more, you will start to get used to letting them down because you're trying to prioritize, a million different people at one time and make everybody happy. And then you'll notice that it's outside of your control, and people that are closest to you, since they're the ones consistently involved in your life, will be disappointed, and you will start to kind of get used to disappointing them while desperately trying to not disappoint random strangers or people that you don't really know. Because you try to please everybody, but you start to learn that you can't please the people closest to you, so you're desperately going to try to please people outside of your inner circle. And this is it's a slippery slope for the relationships that truly matter. And when you put your energy, when you take off the people pleaser persona, which I'm not saying you can just take it off, it's not that easy, but if you get rid of that and understand that you can only please some people sometimes, that you're not going to please everybody. And you start to focus on your loved ones, your friends, your immediate family, people right around you, people that really matter and care about you. You can put more into balancing out with them at least. I mean, please them as much as you can reasonably. They please you as much as they can reasonably, so on and so forth. Nobody's like this pleasing slave. But some people just, it's like this. I don't know if it comes from childhood, parents, God only knows, but this need to please everybody, to have random people appreciate you and be happy with you. So a lot of the time, I've seen it a lot in business. People who don't really care about pleasing everybody tend to do a lot better in business. They have a higher respect for their own work and their own quality, who they are and how they operate, and they'll give you a price, and if you don't like it, tough. They'll go on to the next person, on to the next job. The people pleaser, though, let's say you analyze a job because you're a business owner, which for people pleasers it's incredibly difficult and just torturous. Because you meet people on a regular basis that you want to do work for, you want to give them a bid, they want you to do work, right? But not all customers are the same. So let's say you do a bid for some work, and this person, either knows what it's worth or doesn't know what it's worth, but they think it's too expensive, so they tell you that's too much. The people pleaser will go, okay, well, what amount would make you happy, right? Already going off the rails, okay? Because let's say you say $1,000, and by the time you're done dealing with this person and talking to this person about the job, you're doing it for like $300, right? Well, you didn't earn any respect from that person, first of all. So it's not like they're going to be real happy with you and treat you well, and you're going to just please the pants off of them, you know? Most of the time, those kind of difficult personalities, they either won't respect you, period, or they will only respect you if you have, you know, some backbone. So you tell them, no, that's the price. That's what I'm going to do. Feel free to go somewhere else, you know. And if you're reasonably priced, a lot of the time they'll end up coming back to you anyway, and you'll get that job because they try to, you know, get a bunch of other people to bring down their price, and they can't, or they get somebody to, and that person isn't capable, and it just becomes a disaster, and then you come in and clean it up. So you don't earn respect by being a people pleaser. Respect from other people is what builds up relationships, especially business relationships. You don't want to work with somebody that you can't respect. And people who are strong personalities, they want to be able to respect the people they work with. And no matter what, in your brain, if you don't respect somebody, you can't approve of them. So like the job they're doing, any mess ups is going to be attributed to your weakness in business. It's just a real slippery slope. It's a really big problem. One of the other negative effects of people pleasing is it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. You can't please everybody. And if you try to please everybody, you please no one, and you just wear yourself out. You just drive yourself into the ground trying to please every person you come across and trying to get admiration and love and acceptance or whatever it is that you're trying to get. You know, and that does not work. It will never work for you. You will exhaust yourself, you'll wear yourself out, and you will fail every single person you run into. Trying to please everyone guarantees you fail everyone, because you don't have any energy to even please one person, let alone the laundry list of people that you're interacting with. And so acknowledging that, and just taking that first step in acknowledging that can lead to a little more balance. Okay, now what you need is balance. All right, understanding that you're not going to please everybody is a very important step. Okay, second of all, you're not going to please most people. Okay, you're only one human being. You can only do so much. All right, so another thing, I've got a friend who's a people pleaser, and you know, if 5 jobs come his way, they all want it done right now, he'll say, yeah, I can do it. No possible way. So he lets down all 5 of these people. Most of the time they don't pay him. He ends up doing a bunch of work for free, works it like a rodeo clown, and then nobody calls him back. Nobody wants to rely on him, and it's just a total disaster, all to please a bunch of people, you know, and have no boundaries. Okay? If you have no boundaries, you are going to be miserable. You are absolutely going to be miserable. It doesn't matter if that's business or personal. You cannot do everything for everyone all the time and get away with that. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. You know, you're not a superhuman. You're just another human being. And there's no fulfillment in that. You know, I look at that and I think, what kind of fulfillment can somebody get failing other people constantly? And especially the people closest to you, because when you're a people pleaser to that degree and you're trying to please everybody you run into, you have no energy left for people who really matter. You fail them constantly because you're trying to please everybody. You don't focus on certain individuals and building that relationship, building balance, and creating something positive. You let all them down, and your relationships suffer horribly, absolutely horribly. And it's just so toxic for you. When you're a people pleaser, you set unattainable expectations. Okay, it's just like when you say, you know, yes, I can do this to 5 different people, and they all expect it to be done in a certain amount of time. Like, you tell them the time that it's going to take you 3 days, it's going to take you 3 days. But if you have 5 jobs going at once, you told them all it's going to be 3 days, you're absolutely screwed, right? So you're going to let all of them down, piss them off. They're going to tell people to get the hell away from you and stay the hell away from you, and for good reason. Because if you don't have boundaries and you can't tell somebody, I'm not available until next week, even if they get a sad look on their face when you say it, okay? It's okay. That's just the reality of the situation. Okay, if you have jobs that you need to focus on, you got to do this next one a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever it is, reasonably. And if that job isn't available, you're not going to get every job every time. And if you do, you're just going to be so overburdened. It is not going to turn out, because once again, you're only one person. And so one thing too with people pleasing, in business especially, is there's so little money in it, because you always let people argue you down. Okay, always argue you down, because people always try to pay less. All right, they will always try to pay less and get more. Okay, so that's not how the world works. Okay, so if you have any pride and you do your job well, you get paid a certain amount, and that's that. If across the board it's not working, figure it out business wise. Maybe you need to come down a little bit. But when it comes to people pleasing, I mean, these are people who do things for dirt cheap to try to get. It's almost like the money matters so little compared to the approval, and pleasing this person matters the most. And a lot of the time, they don't even know these people. So it's like it is an actual sickness. Like I said, I just got to compound that. When you try to please everyone, you please no one. And your friendships. I mean, look at your friendships, look at your family, look at your loved ones, and really see if those relationships are in good shape. Because if you're a pathological people pleaser, all of your relationships are going to suffer. And if you want to be in denial about that, that's on you. That's not anything I can help you break through. But just know that if you're in a room alone and you're thinking these things and you're watching this video and you're hearing yourself in this, self-reflect. Okay, there's no point in being in denial to yourself. Okay, I can understand other people, but look at yourself, talk to yourself, be with yourself, okay? And bring yourself out of that denial, at least to yourself, so you can start working on this and change your whole quality of life. I mean, if you want to suffer in people pleasing, it sounds like a simple thing, but it's really this massive, it's like a troll on your back. It's horrid and it's terrible. Another thing is, like, if everybody works for a living for the most part. If you're a people pleaser, you're always going to say yes to the boss too. Can you do this? Yeah, I can do that, boss. But this, yeah, I can do that, boss. How about this, and this all at once? Yeah, I can do that, boss. And then next thing they find out you can't do it because you were just being a people pleaser. And you are incapable of doing everything that you promised to do or said you could do. You have to be okay with being like, actually, what I'm working on right now is probably going to take me this much time. I don't know if I can fit that in, right? There are things, and then even if they're, just because somebody has unrealistic expectations or unreasonable expectations doesn't mean that you should be capable of doing it and pleasing them. Okay, because there are pathological people out there, narcissists and sociopaths, that will get as much out of you as they possibly can for as little as possible, right? And if you're a people pleaser, then you are the best person for that job. Because they can just heap it on you and tell you that they're going to be so proud of you if you get it all done. And then when you don't, they can just lose it on you because you're also this beat puppy, right? So it's just absolutely toxic in every way, shape, and form. Personally, business, it's just awful. And you'll be given all the worst jobs too. Like, oh man, my employees who don't have who have boundaries won't do this really shitty job that's totally demeaning and degrading. But I bet they'll do it because they're a people pleaser. Next thing you know, you're crawling underneath a house in the mud and muck, or digging a ditch, whatever it may be. It's going to be the worst job of the worst that you're going to get. And then they're going to pay you less than everyone else on top of that. So if that all sounds great, then continue being a people pleaser. But the only real way, unfortunately, to get out from people pleasing is to take small steps. If you take big steps, I mean, it just doesn't work. You don't know what's going to work, and you have to kind of take it one step at a time. Kind of, start saying no. Okay, no is okay. All right, if even in business and in work, I mean, you have to take risk. Sometimes it's riskier taking on 100 jobs and promising to get them done than it is to say, "Hey, boss, I think it's too much." If they don't like it, So what? Either go find another job, or continue just suffering in this for zero respect, okay? Because you will earn zero respect. And honestly, if you're a people pleaser that can't please anybody or do anything right because you're so worried about what other people think, you don't deserve respect. And I know that's hard. That's hard. But respect is earned. Okay, 75% of respect is earned. And once you've earned that 75% of respect, then you can demand the last 25%. Because you got that 75% to back it up. But if you show up and you undermine yourself constantly and you can't get anything done or do anything right because you're trying to please everybody you come across, you don't deserve respect. Okay? Learn how to start deserving respect and earning respect, and that is having boundaries. Okay? Boundaries that create balance. All right? That's what you need more than anything else, is boundaries. Okay? And you want to work toward balance. Being okay with other people's disappointment. It's okay. It's okay. It used to bother me too, but now if I'm looking at somebody and they have unrealistic expectations of me and I tell them this is unrealistic and they get that sad face, I could give a damn. Because I know what it takes, especially like my job, I know what it takes to get a job done. Okay? And a lot of the time, so I'm in construction. A lot of the time, if somebody says, how long will it take to do this job? And I look at it, analyze it, and I say, I think it's going to take a month. Oh, yeah. Why? Why so long? Can we get it done in like 2 weeks? No, not unless you're willing to spend a hell of a lot more and bring in a hell of a lot more people. But sometimes that's just the way it is. Like no matter what you do, it's going to take a month to get this job done. And a lot of the time people don't like that. They don't like any answer though. Whatever answer it's going to be too long. So you have to be like, this is what it is. Because if you even leave a just this little sliver over here that says we might be able to do it in a week, right? Then they will hyperfixate on that and be like, why didn't this get done in a week? Well, it's going to take a month. If you can get it done sooner, then it'll make them happy, right? But be okay with disappointing people, all right? When it's reasonable and realistic. And if that person is an unrealistic or immature person, because there are business owners out there, there are people out there with a lot of money who are still children in their minds, okay? Somehow they've done this. They've picked the right people, maybe, I don't know. But when you work with them, they have very unrealistic expectations, or they're just stupid. I don't know how that works, but it happens a lot. Where like the owner of a company thinks that you can build an entire apartment complex in a year. And if that doesn't happen, then it's like, man, everybody's just terrible. And it's like, no. No, it's not that people are terrible. It's that you don't understand reality when it comes to construction, all the different things that need to happen, or whatever it may be. When somebody tries to take more, you need to stand strong. You need to be able to withstand the other person's pressure. Okay, now these are goals that you need to get to, not that you can just do right now. So take small steps. But one thing is, be okay with one of the most intimidating moments is when you take a small step and you say, no, I can't do that. It's a very intimidating moment when that other person, when you've already set a precedent that you say yes to everything, and subsequently fail at everything, so they don't have much respect for you. When you say no for the first time, a lot of the time it's met with silence for a minute, as the other person is trying to, did they just say no? Trying to figure that out. Be okay with that silence and just sit there and wait for them to respond. Okay? People pleasers tend to be jabberers too. If it's quiet for a second, they start jabbering and they start just talking. Shut your mouth. Say no and just be quiet. In that moment, you are earning some respect. If it is reasonable and you say no, you will be earning respect in that moment. When they think, oh, okay, saying no for the first time. It kind of throws them off a little bit, so they might be quiet for a minute. Just let the silence be heard. Let it be. Okay, just take small steps. People pleasing equals toxicity for you and everyone involved with you. Okay, it is too hard relying on or trying to help people who are pathological people pleasers. So, pull off the blinders, acknowledge if you do this, and start making changes.